80,000 industrial chemicals currently are in use in the United States, with more than 700 now found within every human body. And the problem really isn't the corporation itself. The problem is, in many ways, the structure of law itself. And that if we don't win regulatory fights, if we don't win these fights that we're involved in when the corporations come in to do X, Y, and Z, it's our fault. Because we have the democratic system to use, we just didn't get enough people to the demonstration. Meanwhile, the system is fixed. We've been schnookered for a long, long time. And a lot of us try to go around them by doing things like, well, we need to negotiate an agreement with the corporation, or we need to buy the right stuff, or we need to invest in better stock, or we need to do all these voluntary fixes, self-help kind of stuff, like changing light bulbs, because we feel so disempowered by how the structure of law works. It's our proposition to you that the structure of law has to be dismantled. It has to come apart, because otherwise we're cooked. Literally, we are cooked if we do not actually take that battle on. But when you start talking about rights, that you start getting something that approximates the foundations for the beginnings of a movement. A movement that says that the state government is not going to help us, the federal government is not going to help us, and the only way that we're going to make change to those layers of law is to force it to happen by disobeying the law itself. And it's not so foreign. We've been at that place before in our history. The abolitionists didn't advocate for establishing a slavery protection agency. The suffragists, they didn't just write letters to the White House, they voted. And they were arrested, and they were thrown into jail, and then they had trials. They understood that when you don't directly challenge the law, you are validating it automatically. So these communities, the least likely of activists in some ways, began coming to a conclusion. And that conclusion was they had to take these doctrines on frontally. And so they decided to begin writing these ordinances to directly challenge those legal doctrines which keep our communities subordinate to those corporations. Because they understood that sustainability is impossible unless those people who are directly affected by the unsustainable practices are the ones who are deciding whether those practices occur. Folks, state legislatures, folks 500 miles away, they don't care. They don't care. The community's a dumping ground. It's a toilet. They're going to use it for as long as they can until people stand up and say, we're not going to do it anymore. The kids that sat in on the lunch counter at Woolworths, they didn't write letters to Woolworths. I mean, I suppose they did in the beginning. They said, hey, please desegregate your lunch counters, right? But eventually at some point, they said, no more. Things are so bad that we need to go in and actually break the law. We need to disobey the law in a very structured way, but we need to do it. And so they did. And in fact, this country's built on people not following the law. The Declaration of Independence, people breaking free, self-governance, all that stuff that's built into us that we seem to have lost. We think it's time to return to that place. The cost of doing nothing is more now than the cost of doing something. What are we waiting for? I mean, seriously, how bad does shit have to get before we actually begin to be less obedient to how the structure operates, right?
Join us for his talk, Breaking a Fixed System, at 6:30 p.m. Monday, November 16th, room 117, Olskamp Hall, Bowling Green State University.